We are 15 minutes after the hour. That means time for your grain update here. And we go back to our friends at Allendale. Georgy joining us here on this Easter Monday. Steve, hope you had a good weekend with family and friends.
You betcha, it was great, but now back to the grind.
Back to work, absolutely. And we do have a fresh information coming out here just in the last half hour or so, our weekly export inspections. Take a look at those numbers and get your reaction to what the numbers you see. Corn, better numbers than last week, and I believe higher than a year ago.
Yes, and that's where the demand is still good for corn. We've known that. But, yeah, inspections coming out at 1.328 versus 1.212 last week, so better than expected. Beans, very, I guess, still neutral. They are disappointing numbers, but this time of year, though, we tend to certainly slow down in sales. But just over 430,000 versus 889 last week.
Mm-hmm.
Wheat very neutral as well. So I mean, we are making some sales, but the bigger number, and I guess the bigger surprise is corn. We got a lot of corn out there. We need to move it. Looks like we are.
Very good, yeah. And you make a good point in the soybeans here as well. Steve Georgy joining us from Allendale. Yeah, on paper you would say, wow, it's about half of what it was a week ago. But a year ago we were what? Not even 300,000.
I was going to say, yes, that is correct. It is still above where it is a year ago. But we have a lot of beans as well. USDA telling us we've got 445 million carryout. We need to move some beans. Well, we still are. So that demand really hasn't shifted, or we haven't seen that full move down to South America yet. We still get some business.
Very good. And let's go to the board to check out corn here first of all. Again, Steve Georgy joining us from Allendale. And now, even with that information, a good corn number, that's why you're here, to kind of sort things out.
Yeah.
We were a penny and a half or two lower ahead of those numbers. Now we've seen them, good numbers.
Yeah.
We're down double that.
We are. You know, and I think we're playing the follow the leader game with the wheat market. Wheat down quite a bit more today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think corn's pulling back. We had a very good week yesterday, up more than 11, or a very good week last week, up more than 11 cents for corn. We are giving back some of that, but the wheat market has erased all of last week's gains. Most of that's coming with the good rains through the plains, through some of these areas that we had, and then also the potential of seeing strong good to excellent ratings again out at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Mm-hmm. And looking at EastBEC, talk about those wheat ratings. We're also looking at corn planting. I was talking earlier today with Rich Nelson. He was saying, yeah, I think you're kind of going along with those who think will be about maybe 6, maybe 7% planted nationwide.
You know, it's really early to hold a lot of weight onto this. But, yeah, 7% is what our estimate is. 5-year average sits at about 8%. So look for us to keep up with that. But the American farmer is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
When you get a chance to get going, the equipment, the size that it is, we get this crop in the ground when we can. And we'll see as we go forward. But still very early. No bean planting or no bean progress here this week. So we don't have to sit there and watch that yet.
Exactly right. And looking at 7, 8 lower in Chicago, Kansas City, wheat here as well, down 7 to 8. Minneapolis has been trailing there, still down just a penny or two in Minneapolis. Steve, we're going to take a break. I'll come back and I want to get your thoughts in the livestock trade here. We continue. Steve Georgy from Allendale joining us as we look at the livestock trade. We continue. And we are 20 minutes after the hour. That means time for your livestock update. And back with us from our friends at Allendale, Steve Georgy, looking at the cattle trade, performing a lot better here mid-April than a lot of folks thought maybe 30 days ago that it would be, Steve.
That is absolutely true. You know, and that's where I think a lot of this excitement has occurred. When you look at not only just the trade, well, it's different there, but we also have got a massive fund position as well in the cattle. Commitment of Traders report out on Friday showing that cattle positions grew by more than 2,000 contracts again, putting it at another record. So showing that the big money wants to continue to buy cattle yet, and that hasn't slowed down any, obviously.
Very good. Yeah, we're up 92 points here now with June at 115.62 as I sit here right now, but 115.70. We're again. I could ask you this a week ago, and you know, where's the resistance going to come in here? We might have said 115. So now that we're there, 117 is that next?
Well, it could be. You know, the big thing is that cash is king. You know, when you look at what packers are doing out there, they're bidding out, and they're buying cattle, you know, a month from now, and so we're setting up for that. What do they know that the market doesn't? You know, when you look at midday box beef, what is that going to do? Show list numbers that come out later on. Really, what we've got to do now, we had this big basis difference. We've caught up to where the market is. And so from here, we need to decide where this cash market's going, and that will be what needs to be watched very closely this week in order to continue to propel us higher. Otherwise, that big, massive money that I was talking about, that may end up starting to change their opinion, which could start to fuel the downside at some point. Is it now? I don't know.
Yeah.
We need to see what happens. But that may end up happening if we continue to see, or if we start to see this cash market on the defensive.
And we won't know that here till later in the week, most likely here.
Yes.
I'll get the numbers here where we sit right now on the futures, but I want to get your thoughts here in the lean hog complex, Steve. Steve Georgy joining us here. Not a lot of pressure, but the arrows are lower here through the day.
Yeah, you know, they are. The trend right now has been down. That we've seen some pressure. We've had huge supplies of pork. We know that. But now what we're getting into is we're getting into a seasonal time frame where you come in and you start looking at the long side of hogs. The funds, these big managed money, they've been short. When are they going to pull the plug and start going the other direction? That could be sooner than later, too. But we need to hold last week's support areas for hogs in order to get this new buying come in. But seasonally, it's telling us that we're very close to start making that turn for hogs.
Very good. And I'll get the numbers here, and we'll get those updates here. But we want to thank you for your time, as always, and everyone in Allendale. And Steve, we'll talk to you next week.
You got it. Thank you very much.
Steve Georgy from Allendale, from McHenry, Illinois. All right, as promised, here are the numbers. Live cattle, feeder cattle, hog futures at this moment. These are live quotes. April still on the board here, another 10 days or so. April up 92 points, 126.30. So as he says, they have closed that gap and now back equal to where a lot of cash traded last week. Cash is king. Key words there that Steve just said. June cattle up 95 points, 115.65. Let's turn over to feeder cattle. Feeder cattle futures even higher. April up 88 at 138.68, but more active is May and August. May feeder cattle up $1.40 at 139.80. That's only 10 points from their high of the day. August is only 8 points from the high of the day. Right now, August feeder cattle trading 141.90. And our hog futures still under some minor pressure. April off the board today, 62.12. That might be their close. And the May down 10, 68.20. We'll keep an eye on that here on the day.
Thank you, Mark.
Sure, you bet.